The Duggar family has faced countless storms in the public eye, but nothing could prepare them or the millions of fans who have followed their journey for the heartbreaking turn of events surrounding Jana Duggar's first baby delivery. What was meant to be a moment of pure joy as the eldest Duggar daughter finally stepped into motherhood transformed into a night of tears, prayers, and unimaginable fear. Jana's health suddenly declined during delivery, sending her family into shock and leaving her husband, Stephen Wisman, inconsolable as he broke down in tears at her bedside. For years, Jana Duggar has been known as the Cinderella Duggar, the quiet, reserved sister who remained at home long after her siblings married and started families of their own. Fans often speculated about whether she would ever marry, and when she surprised the world by tying the knot with Nebraska pilot Stephen Wisman, it seemed like a long-awaited fairy tale ending. But the dream took a harrowing turn when the couple's first child entered the world amid complications that threatened Jana's health and left Stephen visibly shaken. The delivery that changed everything. According to sources close to the Duggar family, Jana went into labor in the late hours of the evening, surrounded by her husband and a small circle of family members. What started as a normal delivery quickly became critical when doctors noticed that Jana's blood pressure was dropping and her breathing became shallow. Witnesses described the room as chaotic, with medical staff rushing to stabilize her as Stephen clutched her hand, praying aloud, and refusing to let go. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable. Stephen, usually a man of quiet composure, reportedly broke down in tears, pleading with doctors to save his wife. "Please don't let anything happen to her," he cried, his voice cracking as family members looked on in horror. Jana's delivery became not just about welcoming new life, but about fighting to preserve her own. The situation escalated quickly, forcing doctors to make emergency interventions. Fans familiar with the Duggar family's long history of home births and unconventional delivery choices noted with relief that Jana was in a hospital setting, surrounded by professionals. Even so, the fear that swept through the room was undeniable, as every second seemed to teeter between life and loss. Stephen Wisman's heartbreaking breakdown. Those close to the couple say Stephen's breakdown during the delivery was unlike anything the family had ever seen. A man deeply rooted in faith, he was overcome with emotion as he faced the possibility of losing the woman he had waited so long to marry. He couldn't stop crying, one insider revealed. He was holding her hand, kissing her forehead, and whispering prayers, but he just couldn't hold it together. It broke everyone's heart to see him like that. The Wisman family, known for their conservative values and tight-knit bonds, immediately surrounded Stephen with support, but the pilot's raw grief was hard to contain. At one point, he reportedly had to step out of the delivery room to gather himself, only to return moments later to continue praying by Jana's side. Fans have often seen the Duggar men portrayed as stoic and unemotional, but Stephen shattered that mold in the most human way possible. His tears became a symbol of the deep love he carries for Jana and the fragile reality of the situation they were facing. The Duggar family rallies together. News of Jana's medical crisis spread quickly through the Duggar family, who rushed to the hospital to offer their prayers and support. Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar, already grandparents many times over, reportedly broke down themselves as they watched their eldest daughter battle for her health. Sisters Jessa, Jinger, and Joyanna were spotted arriving at the hospital, visibly shaken, but determined to be there for Jana. "We're just praying non-stop," Jessa was overheard telling a family friend. "She's strong, but this is so hard." Even some estranged siblings who had distanced themselves from the Duggar name in recent years were said to be texting and calling for updates, proving that in the face of tragedy, family ties still run deep. Fans online immediately began sending waves of prayers with hashtags like Pray for Jana and Duggar Strong trending across social media. Fans react with shock and heartbreak. For fans who have followed the Duggars for more than a decade, the news hit like a thunderclap. Jana has long been a figure of quiet admiration, often seen as the responsible caretaker of her younger siblings, while her life seemed to be on hold. Many had celebrated her long-awaited love story with Stephen Wisman, expressing joy that she had finally found happiness on her own terms. Now those same fans flooded social media with concern and heartbreak. Messages poured in. Jana has given so much to her family and deserved nothing but joy in this moment. This is devastating. My heart is breaking for Stephen. To see him cry like that must mean things are really serious. Praying for a miracle. Jana has been through so much already. The outpouring of love highlighted just how deeply Jana has touched viewers over the years. For many, she isn't just another reality TV star. She's the strong, steady sister they rooted for all along. A baby's first cry amidst tears. Amidst the chaos and heartbreak, there was one glimmer of hope, the baby's first cry. Despite the complications with Jana's health, her newborn arrived safely, filling the room with a sound that brought both relief and bittersweet tears. Stephen reportedly wept again, this time with gratitude, as he held his child for the first time. It was overwhelming, a family friend shared. He was crying for Jana, but also crying because the baby was okay. It was such a mix of emotions, pure joy and pure fear all at once. The baby's arrival offered a ray of light, but it did little to erase the fear surrounding Jana's recovery. Doctors kept her under close watch, monitoring her vitals as family and fans clung to hope for their recovery. The road ahead. As of the latest updates, Jana remains under medical supervision. While the baby is reported to be healthy, Jana's recovery is expected to be slow and challenging. Doctors have advised rest, caution, and ongoing care, a tall order for a woman who has spent her life caring for others. Stephen has vowed to remain by her side every step of the way, reportedly telling friends, "She's my everything. I don't care about anything else as long as she's okay." The couple now faces the daunting task of navigating new parenthood while also focusing on Jana's health. It's a journey filled with uncertainty, but also with the love and support of family, faith, and fans who refuse to stop praying for their recovery. A story that transcends reality TV. For years, the Duggar family has been a fixture in reality television, drawing both admiration and controversy. But Jana's story goes beyond ratings and headlines. It's a raw, human tale of love, fear, and resilience, one that reminds the world that behind the cameras and strict family rules are real people facing real struggles. Stephen's public display of emotion, in particular, has resonated with many who have followed the family. In his tears, fans see the vulnerability of a man who deeply loves his wife and is unafraid to show the world his pain. For Jana, the ordeal underscores the strength she has carried quietly for years, now tested in the most profound way. As the days unfold, the world will watch closely, hoping for updates of healing, recovery, and joy. Jana Duggar's baby delivery may have taken a tragic turn, but the story is far from over. It's a story of faith under fire, of a husband's love laid bare, and of a woman who has already inspired countless people with her quiet strength. For now, the Duggar family and millions of fans hold their breath, praying that Jana's darkest hour will soon give way to days filled with healing, laughter, and the sweet joy of motherhood. Jana Duggar's long-awaited journey into motherhood, something fans of the famous reality television family had anticipated for years with equal parts excitement and tenderness, has taken an unexpectedly heartbreaking turn as what should have been the most beautiful day of her life transformed into a terrifying ordeal, one that left her husband, Stephen Wisman, openly sobbing at her bedside, and her family rushing to gather in prayer, filling the sterile walls of the hospital with desperate hope, whispered pleas, and a kind of grief that very few could have ever imagined. For so long, Jana had been the quiet figure in the Duggar household, the dependable eldest daughter who carried responsibilities without complaint, caring for younger siblings, keeping her parents' home running, and silently shouldering burdens while one by one her brothers and sisters married, moved out, and began families of their own. And fans often wondered if Jana would ever get her chance at love, her chance at a wedding day, her chance to cradle a child of her own. And when she finally shocked the world by stepping away from her lifelong role as the unmarried Duggar daughter and saying yes to Stephen Wisman, a man deeply grounded in his faith, respected for his steady career as a pilot, and adored by those who knew his gentle, calm demeanor, it seemed like the heavens themselves had finally opened and granted her the fairy tale she so quietly deserved. Yet in one of life's cruelest twists, the moment meant to bring fulfillment and joy quickly spiraled into a night of fear, chaos, and raw heartbreak. As Jana's health declined rapidly during the delivery of her first child, sending shockwaves not only through her family gathered around her, but also across the wide community of fans who had always held a special place in their hearts for her. Witnesses who were present during the delivery recall a scene that shifted so quickly from hope to horror that it left even the most composed family members shaken. Jana, who had gone into labor surrounded by Stephen, supportive relatives, and a team of medical professionals, seemed to be progressing normally until her blood pressure began to plummet and her breathing grew shallow, setting off alarms both literally in the hospital room and metaphorically in the hearts of those who loved her. And within moments, doctors were rushing to stabilize her, calling for urgent interventions as Stephen clung to her hand, whispering prayers through tears that refused to stop falling, his composure crumbling in front of everyone as the weight of possibly losing his wife in the very moment she brought their child into the world crashed down on him like a wave. Those who know Stephen describe him as strong and soft-spoken, a man of discipline and faith. Yet in that moment, he could not hold back his sobs, could not mask his terror, and his visible collapse left everyone in the room fighting their own tears, because it was not only a medical emergency unfolding, but also the purest display of love, devotion, and human vulnerability, as a man who had waited patiently for years to finally share his life with Jana suddenly faced the possibility of watching it all disappear before his eyes. Members of the Duggar family, many of whom rushed to the hospital as soon as they learned of the complications, were left devastated as they saw Stephen break down, his cries echoing through the halls as he at times had to step out to catch his breath, only to rush back in, unwilling to leave Jana's side for more than a few seconds. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar reportedly cried openly as well, their usual composed expressions melting into sheer parental desperation as they saw their eldest daughter struggle in a way no parent ever wishes to witness. And sisters like Jessa, Joy Anna, and Jinger were described as visibly shaken, clutching each other for comfort while still trying to offer encouragement, repeating over and over that Jana was strong, that she could pull through, though their voices trembled with fear. The delivery, already complicated, reached a point where the sound of monitors and hurried medical commands created a tense backdrop. Yet, in the middle of the chaos, a miracle still occurred as the baby's first cries filled the room, a sound that was both joyous and unbearably bittersweet. Because while Stephen wept with gratitude that his child was alive and healthy, his tears did not stop flowing since Jana herself was still fighting for stability, her condition fragile and uncertain. Family friends who later spoke about the ordeal described Stephen holding the newborn with shaking hands, his face soaked in tears, alternating between gazing at the tiny life they had brought into the world and bending over to kiss Jana's forehead, begging her in whispered words not to leave him, not to give up, not to let the story they had only just begun together end so quickly. For fans who have followed Jana's story since the earliest days of 19 Kids and Counting, the news felt like a crushing blow, because for so long she had been a figure of both admiration and quiet sorrow, admired for her patience, maturity, and strength, yet pitied for being left behind as younger siblings lived out the milestones she had not yet reached. And now, just when her story seemed to be turning into the happily ever after that so many had prayed she would find, tragedy struck, and the fan community reacted with an outpouring of grief and prayer unlike anything seen in recent memory. Social media was flooded with messages carrying hashtags like "Pray for Jana" and "Stay Strong Jana." Fans wrote long tributes describing how much they meant to them, recalling years of watching her on television as the reliable, nurturing daughter. And voices from all over the world united in sending love to a woman they had never met but felt connected to through years of quiet observation and heartfelt rooting for her happiness. Meanwhile, inside the hospital, the Duggar family gathered in prayer circles, holding hands, whispering scripture, their faces wet with tears, each one of them confronting the terrifying reminder that life is fragile, that even the strongest faith cannot prevent suffering, but can only sustain them through it. And though tensions and estrangements have divided the Duggar siblings in recent years, even those who have distanced themselves reportedly reached out for updates, proving that in the darkest hours, the ties of family, however frayed, are never fully broken. Medical professionals, though unable to provide immediate reassurance, worked tirelessly through the night to stabilize Jana, and though sources say she eventually began showing small signs of improvement, her road to recovery remains uncertain and slow, requiring rest, monitoring, and a careful balance of hope and caution, leaving Stephen vowing that he will not leave her side for even a moment, declaring to those closest to him that nothing in his life matters more than Jana's healing, that the pilot who once took to the skies now has only one mission, to keep his wife grounded safely beside him. The image of Stephen Wisman breaking down in tears, openly displaying grief and love, stands in contrast to the stoic, controlled Duggar image often presented in the past. And perhaps that is why it has touched so many hearts, because in that moment, fans saw something undeniably real. A man deeply in love, terrified of loss, raw and unashamed to let the world see his vulnerability. And in Jana's struggle, they see not only the fragility of life, but also the resilience of a woman who has already endured so much, quietly, without complaint, now facing the greatest battle of her life. As the days pass and updates trickle out, the world continues to hold its breath, waiting for word that Jana has turned the corner, that she will recover fully, that she will at last get to experience the simple joys of motherhood she so richly deserves. And though her delivery turned tragic and terrifying, the story is far from finished, for there is still hope, still prayer, still the possibility that this chapter of pain will one day be replaced with pages filled with laughter, healing, and the sweet moments of watching her child grow, moments she and Stephen longed for and are now clinging to with everything they have. And for now, all anyone can do is wait, pray, and believe that Jana Duggar, the quiet Cinderella of her family, will rise again from this darkness into the light of love, life, and the miracle of motherhood that she fought so hard to hold on to.